Hey, John, how's it going?
Hello, Julian. Good to see you.
Doing well.
Hi, Danny Wirtz, nice to meet you.
John with the councilman's office. Troy, John, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Well, come on back. We'll get a room and we'll let the councilman know you're here. Great.
Hi,
Hi, Danny Wirtz, nice to meet you.
Jeff Lucia. Very nice to meet you.
Troy Hagan.
Just call me Jeff.
Nice to meet you.
How's it going, council member? Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you again, Julian. Great, thank you.
All right, well,
All right.
thanks for taking the time today. Know you've got a pretty busy schedule, so definitely appreciate you coming here. These are the two leaders with FALCK that I've been kind of talking about, Troy and Danny. So they're part of FALCK who's interested in the 911 ambulance bid that's scheduled to come out a little over a year. And right now they're working with the organization. They've been in the United States for a while, the company. And so they've seen some pretty rapid growth in the U.S., specifically in California. In Orange County, they operate the majority of the 911 ambulance service. In LA County, they operate about 40%. On top of that, they were recently awarded with the 911 contract for the county of Alameda. What's interesting about that is that contract hadn't seen compliance from their provider for years. And within 4 months, if that's still the case, I sure hope it is. All right. They have gotten that contract into compliance. So kind of a testament to the service that they bring. But I've done a lot of talking already, so I want to make sure that make the introductions here. So I'll send it over to Troy here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll let you, just to give a little handout material, certainly you don't have to thumb through that right now, but just some leave behind stuff for both of you. And we'll address some of the points as we're talking, but I know your time is short today, so we will we'll do the best we can to get through that and answer all of your questions.
Always appreciate brevity.
So my name is Troy Hagan. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer for FALCK USA. And so my primary responsibility is doing very similar to what we're doing right now. It's to look at potential areas across the United States and see where FALCK might be able to make a difference in a true public-private partnership, what cities or counties there's potential opportunities to come into, and then and meet with the stakeholders and say, yeah, this is a really good fit. I can say that in our stakeholders that we've met, that and the different things that we do know about the city, that this is very exciting, and we would very much look forward to potentially being a partner with the city for 911 ambulance services. And that's why we reached out to Julian's group with Citywide Strategies to help facilitate and kind of get some feedback with the city as well, and say what is the city all about, and what is needed in the 911 services, and what are you specifically looking for as a council member. And with me today is Danny.
Mm-hmm. As Troy mentioned, FALCK is the largest ambulance provider in the globe and the second largest ambulance company in the United States. Though we are an international company, we do have very close ties here. I've been in this EMS system locally for over 27 years now. Starting on the field level as a basic EMT, became a paramedic, and I'm a nurse now. I'm the regional clinical director for FALCK California. So we are very familiar with the local EMS system and all the value and the excitement that it brings and the challenges that it has.
So the ambulance service in our city is one of the most visible and high stakes procurement processes that we engage in, which is why we really don't do it that often. We don't put it out to bid that often. But I'd like to understand how can FALCK contribute to making our system better that would make it worth going out to bid.
Well, we have I would say 4 primary things that we look at, and what the city should look at to have the right provider in their system. The first one is obviously around quality, and one would expect that any provider that you have is going to be a high quality provider. I think that is something we do pride ourselves on, both from an operational quality perspective and a clinical quality. That we have very solid reputation. We do a very good work, and as was previously mentioned, our response time compliance, our operational compliance, and our clinical compliance in our various systems that we operate around the U.S. is exceptional. So it shows a strong desire toward results, but also that we have the processes in place to deliver those results. And the second one is, as you said, changing a provider can be unsettling and disruptive. And so what I think that you get from us and what you should get from any ambulance company is a seamless transition and a seamless experience as you move from one to another. While you should get that it can be challenging for some companies, but we have a very good history of transitioning very large contracts, and we've done so with great results. And so our goal is that the day that the clock switches from your current provider to FALCK, if we'd be so fortunate to get the contract, is that the community doesn't see a difference. That on day one, they know that when somebody dials 911, someone's going to get there and they're going to be clinically competent and they're going to get there quickly, and they won't see that level of change at that point in time. But we hope that they will certainly see improvements and change over time. But the biggest part is on transition day, you don't want any disruption, and we can assure you that we've gone through many of these contracts without that. But you should get that from any company. So I think what makes FALCK a step above is that our approach. We believe in being very honest and transparent in everything that we do. We are an open book, and that is something that many cities and counties don't currently experience. They get a lot of excuses. They get a lot of, well, you don't understand. Well, we want you to understand. To be a true public-private partnership, we need to build trust. And we believe in the ability to build trust is that we open our books to say this is how we do things, and you're welcome to go in and look and see and ask questions, and we will give you honest results. We're very evidence-based. We'll show you the evidence. We'll show you the data. You'll know why we're doing what we're doing, and I think that makes us unique. And then the last one is again on that partnership line, is that you want a collaborative and an innovative partner. We have many of those types of projects and a very, very strong reputation of that experience. And in fact, in most of the contracts that we've started, we're continuing to operate them today because the local providers, the cities and the counties, love working with us because we're open, they trust us, and we're there to say, how can we work together to make it even better? Because we know that your city has certain unique needs, because every city has certain unique needs. But for us to come in there and say, our one model fits all, take it or leave it, doesn't work to fill those needs. So what we do is we work very, very closely with your staff and with other local leaders to say, what is it that we can help solve, and identify what those issues are, then work together with our resources that we have together to try to solve those problems. And I think that's what you get with FALCK.
Another question. I believe our current ambulance provider employs between 700 and 800 EMTs and paramedics. What happens to them if someone else like FALCK comes in and takes over the service?
That's a great
lose their
question.
Jobs?
No. We want the incumbent workforce. We want those who are familiar with the EMS system locally, that are part of that community. They understand their community. They understand the culture that lives there, and we want to embrace that and bring them on board and continue their employment. Nobody wants to lose their jobs. We don't want that for anybody.
So no one would lose their job?
No.
Okay.
So you've probably seen FALCK's presence throughout the community already. Been heavily involved. A few months ago, they were part of the stair climb. I don't know if you were there last week, but the firefighter 5K started pretty early.
I was there.
All right, great. Well,
Yes.
they were there a little bit earlier, flipping pancakes and getting breakfast ready for all the participants. And then, in fact, I believe this Friday in your district at your community center, there's a CPR training going on. Yep. We'll be there and be a part of that because we've found that to serve a community, you need to understand the community. And that's what FALCK brings to the table. And it's not just being at the event, it's the fact that leadership is there, that our frontline employees are part of that event. And that's just the kind of deep ties that FALCK looks to develop when it goes in to serve any community.
Tell me, if you would, who owns FALCK?
That's an excellent question because it's kind of unique, I would say, in a traditional U.S. Corporate structure, is that we're actually privately held, but who holds our shares are predominantly 3 commercial foundations, which is a kind of a unique Danish corporate setup. But the 3 commercial foundations The first one is the Lumbeck Foundation, and Lumbeck, their whole goal and their focus is really around the brain, brain injury, brain disease processes, and what can they do to improve that very debilitating disease or injury aspect to that for our for anybody that would experience that. And so they put a lot of sponsorships and research grants and different work around that. So that is really what their focus is, and they're our majority shareholder. We also have a part ownership by the Kirkby Group, and Kirkby is a Kirk Christensen family, which is what you would know as Lego, and so it's the Lego family, and obviously their focus is around STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and math, and early childhood development, and the different things that they do. They invest in those types of companies, and also provide a lot of startup funds to get those types of things moving forward. And then the last one is the Trygghetsgruppen, and that is also a commercial foundation, and their focus is around safety in society. And predominantly they do a lot of insurance and risk management work in Denmark, but they also are a huge sponsor of all the lifeguards in Denmark. So they have a very vested interest in that, and they also do a lot of like rolling out the AEDs in public places. They've done a lot of that work in different areas. So it really is about safety and service. So as you can see, all the way from our frontline EMTs and paramedics, all the way up through our ownership structure, it is about this service-oriented work and giving back to society.
Yes, that's very interesting. Thanks for sharing that with me. So I only have a few more minutes before my next engagement, but I just want to ask you, what can I do to help? What are you asking for?
That's a great question. So we know that the contract is expiring next year. And if the city is going to do an RFP process, there is a certain amount of lead time that is required to be able to transition a provider. If for whoever the new provider would be, if you're going to transition from the incumbent to somebody new, that needs lead time. So for a city of this size, 6 months is a good number to use. And so as you can tell, we're approaching that timeline by the run that you actually run an RFP process. The time that you run an RFP process and then you award it, needing 6 months to transition to a new provider. And that would give you the most open, fair, competitive process if you allow that time. And so it really is just making sure that the process gets out and you start the process even earlier than one thinks, because there's always delays, it seems. But anything that we can also do to help with that, again, we do RFPs all around the world. We'd be happy to provide any type of input if the city so desires. That if they, about what different loopholes or landmines that other cities or counties may have run into, we'd be happy to provide any type of support in making sure that you have a really good RFP that goes out and hits the streets, so you can get the best bids in response to that. And but really anything that we can do to help, we're here to help.
Great. Well, I look forward to seeing you at the CPR event, and welcome to our city.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Councilmember. Appreciate it.